Let's talk about Tua Tagovailoa and the Miami Dolphins. Some stats here as we get 2 games in from Miami. They lead the NFL in success rate on offense. So the percentage of their plays that are successful, they are number 1. So they're the most efficient offense in the league. They also have the highest explosive play rate in the league by an insane amount. 17.5% of their plays have been explosive so far. There's a bigger gap between 17.5 of their percent of their plays. There's a bigger gap between them at 1 and the team at 2 than there is between the team at 2 and the team at 11 in explosive play rate overall. 25.3% of their pass attempts have gained 16 plus yards, which is double the league average. Last year, they led the league at 18%. Right now, they're at 25.3%. So just some context and perspective about how ridiculous this passing game has been 2 games into the season. So what have you seen? What has jumped out to you going back and rewatching those first couple of games about what is really setting them apart right now?
Speed on the outside. Like you can talk about, I'm sorry, like you can talk about all the different uniqueness of the offense, all the motion, all the inside out, outside it, like formationally, dude, it is speed. It is scaring the crap out of other teams, and you are seeing huge plays. It's not like the thing is that separates this offense. It's not like these huge plays. Now, there are some. Jalen Waddle on the sideline last game. Tyreek had one, but like it's not just like drop back and throw deep go balls like that. That is not the offense at all, and so that's what makes it so much more impressive because it's speed. I mean, and that's something that I think is one of the greatest head coaches of all time, in Andy Reid. Like that's something that he did. And when he was like, after that 13 and 14 season where we had no speed, they got obsessed. And you can see now, like Kadarius Toney, Sky Moore, Cheeto was there. Like we can make you into a good receiver, but you can't teach speed. And so that is the underlying factor. Now, what else is going on? Well, it's honestly so different, the offense, and so unique where, I mean, I haven't even seen some of these concepts because they're doing stuff because it gives you speed. And Tua is taking a 3-step drop in the gun, and you see Tyreek Hill on a large or huge angle route, and he's already in the angle. So it's like you can run these route concepts that maybe take a little bit more time to develop for other teams. You can run it with the Dolphins because that offensive line's playing pretty well. Oh, without Armstead as well, which I thought they played awesome, giving them some time to throw. But it's also just like Darrell Bevel to me is when I was with him in Detroit. He's the
quarterback coach for the Dolphins.
Yeah, he's a quarterback coach for the Dolphins. When I was with him in Detroit, I thought he was one of the best teachers of the game and the quarterback position when he was Matthew Stafford. I was only with him for a year. And everyone's seen what Tua does pregame. He goes out there with Bevel, and Bevel reads him off plays, and he's out there going through, like, whether it's the first 15 or maybe some plays that it was just a visualization. Like, to me, Darrell Bevel doesn't get talked about enough. Obviously, Frank Smith, like, I love Frank. Like, I was with Frank Smith, the OC in the OC in Miami. I was with him in 2012 when he was like quality control in New Orleans. So him and I go way back. And then obviously was the Chargers offensive line coach in 2021 before he took the job last year. So I'm very aware of their staff and everything. And man, like they're rolling. Like, not only do you have a mix of that Darrell Bevel type, Seattle type, Detroit offense that we saw Matthew Stafford was so good at. You also have the run game of Frank Smith, which the run game, Mostert went off, last game. And then you have at the top level, you have McDaniel, like Mike, like he's a boss, man. Like, and you see his Shanahan style come out, and the 49ers come out. They're using 21 personnel, but it doesn't look like 21 sometimes. So, all of that makes this offense unstoppable right now. And the Patriots tried some crazy stuff, like 3 safeties, like all that jam front 5 across, and none of it worked. It was wild. None of it worked.
What would be your favorite part of playing in this offense? The choices available to you, the concepts, like what is the easiest part as a quarterback in this type of situation?
Speed. I'm telling you, the speed it makes it. I'm not kidding. Like, I'm not kidding.
But
It's like you go
what
back.
does the speed give you in terms of how you get to see
Yeah.
things open up? What is it? The way that it changes your process as a quarterback. What would be your favorite part of the process as a quarterback that is applicable to this offense?
Yeah, the speed gets you separation, and that's something that these guys are very open. It's not like these are contested throws, and also not only that, but you see this little, and they've actually done it a lot more this year, and they started doing it last year. This inside out speed motion by Tyreek or by Craycraft or anything like that, and just that, like it's like, how does a defense react to that? Patriots tried to move the linebacker out, and they hit a wheel. They tried to move the corner out, and they hit a little hitch route in between. So it's a little bit of both. It's the speed, it's the concepts, it's everything, and you can tell that it's being taught really well because it's an interesting offense, and it seems like a complicated offense in terms of reads. Because I see some of these concepts, I'm like, I don't know. Like if I'm just sitting there putting myself in a quarterback room, I don't know how I'd read this. Like, how would I read this? Would I sweep the board? Would it be a pre-snap read? Would it just be, hey, just work this side because it's always going to be open? And they're doing more PRO, pass read options than anything else. Everyone knows they were famous for the flat wheel seam route. Well, this year it's the flat wheel stop route to Tyreek. And so they're getting people off in just a little stop and letting them get 15 yards. So it's just like stuff like that. Like it's just ever evolving.
Explain PRO really quickly. How is that different than some other ways that you would approach stuff?
Well, usually it's an RPO, right? Run pass option. Okay. So RPO is like, hey, if I'm just, Nick Foles really started the whole thing, I think, in Philly, his year that he won the Super Bowl. It was like very heavy type of RPO. He felt really comfortable in that. And RPO was like, hey, you got 5 for 5 on the offensive line. You're handing off, you're reading a second level key, maybe a linebacker or a safety down. And if that key just sort of gives you a read that you're not sure, you just hand it off. Like and that's something that was always coached in all the rooms that we ran was like, hey, you are never wrong on an RPO handing the ball off. Like that is your safe haven. You're good with it. Like I don't care because we want to protect the ball. Well, now these teams are going to PRO, like I like to call it. Pass run options, meaning pass first, then run. There's some looks. I'm gonna be completely honest. In the game, when Tua pulls a read and throws it, and I'm like, this is covered, like a cover 2, you got a light box, like, what are you doing? And it's wide open. Like, he's just like, if there's any indication that I can complete this ball, I'm throwing it. And guess what? If I have to throw it away, so what? And if the run looks good, so what? Like, throw it first and then run it second.
The wrinkles they have off of stuff, even after just establishing it for a week, right? So they're doing that quick out motion on the same side of the formation. And last week, it was a lot of getting their fast guys out on the perimeter. Tyreek was the guy going in motion pretty often. This week, twice on the same side on the right, they have either Alec Ingold or another running back run the quick motion. They have Tyreek sit down on a little hitch instead of going vertical. So there's a wrinkle off that. And then at one point, it was Waddle and Tyreek on the same side. And Waddle was the number 2 receiver, and they threw a screen to him from that exact same look.
That was sweet, bro.
It was the reaction Tyreek when I saw that play. I was like, "Oh my god!" And that's it went for what makes this such a nightmare. Is that I'm sure it seems complicated, but them being able to put different guys in different positions and run the exact same concepts, but now it's 22 personnel, but it's pony. So how do you treat that? Do you play it in base? Do you not? All the different tiny little tweaks on these concepts where it's the same idea with one tiny little difference. It's what allows them to stay a step ahead consistently. And 2 weeks into the season, we've already seen them build on some of those core concepts that they had in week 1, which is wild.
Yeah, it is wild. And it just shows like the offensive mind and the offensive staff there is like, we know we're good and we're just going to mess with you a little bit. And that breeds confidence in the quarterback too. Like
totally.
into it. I go back and I watch this game. I really just wanted to see the Patriots because the Patriots have been pretty good, at least at defending him, keeping him under wraps. And honestly, the second half wasn't great other than the Mostert run. Like it wasn't great for the Dolphins, but I just go back to it. I'm just thinking like Tua, it's not like he's making difficult throws. There's some throws he'll fit in that I'm like, oh, like a couple of them I'm like, oh, no, okay, tight. But it's not like where you're seeing it and you're seeing these stats and you're seeing these numbers, but if you actually like go down and dig deep, it's like by play design, they're getting guys wide open. It goes back to like what I think about the Shanahan tree. It's by play design, by speed, but also, I mean, Tua's putting on a masterclass right now of quarterbacking, and it's all his decision making because he has completely mastered the offense, and he is throwing the ball more accurately than I've seen him in the short intermediate. He underthrew a couple deep balls. He had that throw to Tyreek where Christian Gonzalez went up and mossed Tyreek. It was covered too. Like that's a decision of all the snaps that I did. That was like, okay, bonehead move, like move on. But he's just trusting his guy. And he's like, whatever. Our defense will be fine. We'll get it back. We'll score anyway, which they did. So I just think Tua right now is he's playing quick. He's playing fast. He's not holding the ball. He has a complete mastery of that offense, and that's what makes these offenses so good. And speed too, if I haven't mentioned it.
If I could sit in on a meeting, just an offensive meeting, quarterback room meeting of any team in the NFL, this would be it without question. Just because I would want to see how they teach it. I'd want to see what leads from point A to point B, him being so fast and so confident in making those decisions. Because I'm totally with you. There was a play, I couldn't tell if it was actually an RPO, if it wasn't, when he threw a backside slant to Jalen Waddle in this game. And how quickly he gets off the front side and comes back to Waddle on the backside is just, you can tell they've drilled this stuff down so deeply where it becomes almost innate, the level of decision-making that you're seeing from him. And I would just love to see how the ideas are communicated, not only to the quarterback, but to the players in general, because they just have such a strong grasp of them. And it's so apparent every single time you watch them play.
Yeah, it's impressive. And another thing too, is like Tua has extreme trust in these guys, like from Tyreek to River Craycraft or whatever his name is to like Ingle, like all these guys. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I got it. I'm still learning names as we go because now I have to learn 32 teams rather than one team. But just like the trust he has in all those guys is cool to see because he's still throwing. Like River Craycraft made some amazing plays that game. Like he was like a legit number 3 guy. And yeah, I mean, I would love to be a fly on that room. Maybe I might have to ask, if they keep winning, I might have to text Frank Smith and be like, yo, give me something here to talk about on our show because he's usually pretty open, but it's impressive what they're doing down there right now.
I wanted to do something about how they teach the ideas to the players. It was because one of the ideas I was really excited about this summer, and you might be surprised about this. They're not super keen on sharing that information down there in Miami. I think they're pretty.
Every team.
Yeah, it's not super excited about that idea.